So hey there, what's up? This is Sarthak, and today we have an amazing personality with us, and she is Lolita, and she is a stress management expert. So hi Lolita, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for being there for the podcast. And my audience was really demanding to be you in the podcast because they want to actually learn about how to do a stress management, especially the CEOs and the higher executives. They were asking me that, hey, Sarthak, we are really stressed. We need someone that can give us an advice about stress management. So, first of all, I would request you to introduce yourself, tell about yourself and your journey.
So, I am a stress management expert, I call myself, because what they say, if you're doing something for 10,000 hours, then you become a stress management. I mean, you become an expert in the. So I've been stressing out so much, so I figured I can call myself an expert because I'm doing this forever. No, just it's a joke. I've been doing stress management coaching for over 10 years now. I am 5 times best-selling author that I really talk about how to manage stress in everyday life, but also how to do it in the workplace. I'm teaching that for leaders. I also teach that for anyone else who is feeling that today life is moving too fast and we stress out and burn out and the end of the day. And you asked me about my journey. So obviously, I didn't wake up one morning and said, you know what would be nice to be a stress management coach. Obviously, that didn't happen like that. I know I was, for those who are listening in, they think, oh, I cannot pinpoint what her accent is from. I am originally from Lithuania, and I came to United States. Oh my goodness, 25 years ago. I know I'm so young, right? And so I came for American Dream because what they say, oh yeah, they're like those money grows on trees. So I figured I'll just go into that forest and get my own share. But no, jokes aside, I knew that I want to be rewarded for my hard work, and I was working very hard, 50, 60 hours a week. And there was really no good nutrition or workout. I mean, like when, because I was very driven. And I see a lot when I'm dealing with my clients right now that are starting businesses or they have a big organizations now, and they're stressing out even more because then they feel responsible for all the people that are working for them as well. So it stress is just escalates. And what happened to me, I got physically ill because of that. And I started looking for natural ways how to manage stress because, as you know, the grass is also stressing to grow through that concrete, right? And I mean, when you walk somewhere in the
Right.
street, you see the grass is out. But it's like, well, it was obviously not easy, but it did it. And so I just realized that there are some things that we can do in our lives that and ways that stress is coming from. And when I started addressing that, I realized that it started helping me, and I am now very passionate of helping other people to come to more peaceful lives.
That's amazing. So, Lolita, my question to you is like, since stress management and this particular domain is quite unique, and very few chunk of people used to make career into that. So, what was the motivation, or being more specific, do you have a lack of self doubt in yourself that would I able to do it? Would I able to make career into this?
It really just came to me. It was not like I said, I'm going to look for a niche. No, because I was still continuing doing whatever I was doing, but I started implementing the natural ways how to manage my stress. And then because I became so passionate, I started giving advice for friends and anyone who I can meet. And I remember I was at this party and a lady comes to me and she says, you are so passionate about what you're talking about the stress management, all of this. You totally should be a coach. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of new. But then the more I start going out and meeting other entrepreneurs and start talking with the companies, there is a huge impact in our lives we already know, but also what from a company point of view is a sick employee costing a lot of money to the company. But also, if we stressed out and burn out, it's not only that impacting our bodies because body keeps the score, and a lot of illnesses and all that comes from stressing out for years. But also, it influences people around us. So, for example, if a parent is stressed out, they can snap at the kid, they can get angry, they can let the anger on the kid, and that is just causing a lot of trauma for our children, and then they become our future. And that's exactly what happened with our parents as well. And my belief is that how you handle stress, this really doesn't come from what you do. It's, for example, I say, you probably heard a lot of things, and probably your listeners are expecting, like, oh, she's gonna say meditate and do yoga. I already know this. But I think those things like writing journals and working out, having good nutrition, and doing yoga, although this is great, but I believe those are the bandages. Because imagine if you are stressing out about something. It's like a wound. You can put a bandage on it, but if you do not really go deeper and see why are you stressing. And then also you need to remember that we learn how to manage our stress from our parents, from the environment that we will grow up in. So now those listening, think about what your childhood looked like. Did your parents know how to handle stress? Because if they didn't, this is how you handling your stress. And we just continuously doing from generation to generation. That's why it's very important for us not to just apply the bandages, but really getting into a problem of why am I doing and why am I acting the way I'm acting, and no matter what kind of stressful situation that is. So when I got into realizing that there's more deeper issues to just do yoga meditation, I became very passionate about that. And the more I talk with more people, entrepreneurs, and especially leaders who are responsible not only for their own families, but for all of those employees and all of their families, there's a tremendous pressure. And they'll notice that they even more stressed out because they have all that. And when someone who is on top of organization learns how to manage their stress and ways that's coming from, that is benefiting and multiplying to masses. And that's what my mission is, to talk as many as possible so I can teach everyone to stress less and be less burnout, so we can be in our full potential and we can show up for others and for ourselves.
Perfect. So, for example, I'm the CEO, I'm having multiple companies and really stressed out. So, as a professional, how should I start with the stress management? Because I have no pathway how to do it. From where should I start?
Yeah, so that was another. I was wondering, when we started talking and you contacted me, I looked at your profile on LinkedIn, and you have like so many multiple companies, and I was like, how is that you even managing all that? So my question to you, before I answer to your question, tell me, what is it you do now to manage your stress?
I have no plans. I'm just executing my. I'm just passionate about. I'm just executing it, and sometimes I feel like stressed. But since I'm doing something I'm passionate about, I'm not feeling. But I am sure that after 4 to 5 years, I'm going to face repercussions in terms of health. That's why I'm very concerned.
So now answer your question. And I tell you the story. So when I was writing a book, Crush Stress While You Work, that's probably 8 years ago. It's of course all my books available on Amazon, and I'm a 5 times best-selling author, and I'm writing the next book that right now too. I interviewed about 200 entrepreneurs that they had small businesses and bigger businesses. mm, That I was asking them what do they do about their stress management, and those people that they were the most successful ones, those were they told me that they were less stressed out. And you think, well, yeah, duh, you have more money, of course you're less stressed out. But no, all of them shared one thing that was across the board with all of them. They said that the number one thing that they in the past they did was they really looked through their day, what activities they do, and they ask themselves what activities can be delegated. So they delegated those to other people. They hired other people to do things. Because when you think about it, we cannot be good in everything. Also, it's not
Yeah.
enough time. So identify, and I love that you mentioned that you said when you do something that you feel passionate about, that you feel great. And I know how that feels, because I remember, one long time ago when I was writing my first book, I was still had a full-time job, and I will be so drained by the end of a day, and I will think there's no way I'm going to write another chapter today because I'm just exhausted. But the moment that I will sit down at late night and start writing, I'll just rejoice, and I just so much energy, and I will be just writing this out. And that's when I realize, when you are working, when you're doing something, and you notice that you're stressed out and you just burn out, you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot take this anymore. You're feeling resentful. You start being angry. You're starting snapping at people. This is how stress looks like. And it could be because you're doing something that you don't like doing it. Yes, probably a lot of people can roll their eyes at me right now and say, well, I wish I could do whatever I like to do. That's okay. But here's the thing, keep what you love doing it. That is one of the keys. If you continue doing something every day for you that you love doing it, that's great. Could be even 5 minutes. Let's say you like reading. You're like, I don't have time for this. How about if you just give yourself 5 minutes and then you read that? And if you do something that you love doing at the end of a day, you will reward yourself. So you'll be looking towards that. And so when you are giving yourself something that you like to do, you're standing by yourself, like you're supporting yourself, you're honoring your needs. And that is extremely important, because that builds your trust with yourself. So then you'll be able to manage whatever will be coming at you in the future, because you have enough of that courage to be yourself, and you know you can control whatever comes at you. So that's one part. Now let's go back to delegating. So make a list of things and ask yourself, okay, can I get delegators? Or even better yet, what will happen if I stop doing it altogether? Because a lot of times we do things that we believe we need to do, especially in today's world. We see on the internet, oh, for example, you have a podcast, we need to do this and this and this and that. No, you don't. You just really identify what the things that you can do, and maybe delete those things that you already maybe tried doing it and they don't work. So let those go. Also, there's a lot of times that people say, well, yes, but I need to do in this and this and that and that, and I don't have money to hire anyone. There's always internships. There's always, you can have a teenager from your neighborhood that, they can have a summer internship, and they can help you with social media or something, and they can put that on the resume, and you just took it off from your plate. Also, we live all around the world. Now I'm sitting here in Houston, Texas, and you somewhere in India right now. The whole world is open in our through internet. We can always find help and delegate things to the people on another side of the world. So, but here's the catch: why a lot of people have a difficulty of letting go and delegating things, because they're afraid to lose control. And
Yeah.
that's yes, and that's why it's happening. Here's another thing: what there's a lot of entrepreneurs, especially, or leaders, that has to do, with businesses, have difficulty of, we constantly running towards horizon. And that was one thing that I realized. It's kind of like never ending. You think you need to get more and more and more and more. So in this, you need to realize, you need to tell yourself, what are your milestones? And then yourself, okay, I'm going to celebrate myself, and I'm going to acknowledge that I did a great job when I accomplished this and this. And then you really accomplish it. The problem is with a lot of people is that if you came out, if you grew up in the environment where you didn't feel that you were worthy enough for who you are, and you didn't have enough validation, or people around you were not really supportive, and you grow up with this idea that you have to be useful, otherwise you'll be discarded from the group, because we are humans, we need other humans to survive. So if you have this belief, and now ask yourself, do you have this belief that you have to be successful? Otherwise, nobody will love you. Nobody will see you. You will be running towards that horizon. So what is that you do? Then you make a list of things that you already accomplished in your life. Even, I don't know, learning how to read and write, no matter how big or small. Create that big list, and then you read that list every day and remind yourself that you already accomplished a lot of things. And you need to find that self-worth and saying, yes, I'm doing great because I'm doing all of those things. but also things that has to do with other people, like you have friends, you have family, you contribute to society. It's very important for us to count this, that we already take the credit for it. And the way we grow up, it's one thing, but the way we're going in, as an adult, is very different. You're an adult now, you can take care of your life, so you can focus where you need to focus, and you don't have to run towards that horizon that much, because you're already giving yourself that validation. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense. Okay, I have one more question that is a big concern, especially for the CEOs. So, when it comes to stress management, we humans have found few ways which we can do it very easily. To alcohols, we have different ways. We are smoking. I'm not smoking, but other CEOs are doing it. I have seen in my group many of the CEOs are drinking. They are smoking. They are addicted with something and something. So how, as a stress management expert, you can address this?
So addiction usually is just running away from pain. That's what it is. You're trying to make yourself numb. And it's very widely used because that's what our society used through thousands of years. That's what you do. You feel stressed, you're gonna take a smoke, or you get a drug, or whatever. So if I will tell you, and usually when I start my meetings, and I do a lot of in-person speaking, online teachings, I tell them, okay, if if, let's say, how, what do you think, how heavy this glass is? And
Maybe 800 to 900 grams, something.
whatever, but how heavy it is, it depends how long I'm gonna hold it. So if you raise your hand, like the speaking, when I start my presentations, you raise your hand, and I tell them that they need to hold that hand in the air, and then you keep talking, and I keep talking, and the people feel like, oh my gosh, this hand is hurt. This is how distress is. But if you raise your hand and you put it down, you raise your hand and you put it down, you can do all day, right? This is how it is with your stress, with the tension that you have every day. So number one, I tell my clients, use your phone for something useful. Put an alarm on your phone that will rings every hour. And if it's safe for you to do, of course, you're not driving, or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if you're a safe place, you stop what you're doing, and just for 1 minute, just close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, do deep breathing, have some water, usually we dehydrated, and just tell yourself, this minute is just for me. I'm not gonna think about the project. I'm just gonna stop doing this. So what happens is that more of those breaks during the day you stop this, up and down. You do not, you put your hand down, basically, right? So you give
yeah,
yourself a break. And that is one of the ways how you also, not only that you help yourself mentally to relax or physically. For example, you're standing all day long, go and sit down. If you're sitting down, you can stand up. Something that disrupts the way you operate. Also, you probably heard about Pomodoro principle, that you can,
yeah,
let's say,
absolutely.
right, work 45 minutes or 50 minutes, and then 10 minutes break. So the key is that you have to stop yourself. But many entrepreneurs and business and CEOs, usually they're so driven that that's what I have with my clients. They come to me for stress management, and they say, how about you do 1 minute a break, an hour? And they look at me, they're like, no, I don't have time for this.
Happens with me also.
And I totally understand that, because I'm the same, was driven many years ago. It is, you need to understand the value about that. It's not 1 minute in your life not going to really change much if you continuously doing, right? But that break that you're going to take is going to make a huge difference in your life, because it will make your energy, you will replenish your energy, you give yourself rest. What's going to happen then? You will be more productive by the end of the day. You will be less stressed out. And also, when you go and see your family, whoever you want to see, even your dog, at the end of the day, you will not be angry, you will not be depleted, you will not be snappy, and you will not hurt other people because you're hurting. So, but allowing yourself to take rest is a huge deal if you're dealing with a lot of childhood trauma, where you don't believe you deserve to rest, because it invokes that you are not safe. If you're resting, you'll be discarded, you'll be excluded if you don't produce. And then when I deal with my clients, this is what we really tackle. It's not about uh, just take 1 minute here. No, there's deep. Remember at the beginning, I told you there are bandages and then there's the wound. So you can
Yeah.
take those breaks. That's like another bandage. But you need to really start paying attention why you cannot take those breaks. Why you don't want to give yourself what you need to give yourself in order to have like stable life mentally and physically. So that's the deeper issue that we really need to go to. So doing the breaks also good. There's another thing that I want to mention. We already know that exercise is very important for our bodies, and what helped me to really start exercising that totally makes sense, and I want to share this with you, is imagine you stressing. So cortisol is, it keeps on rising in your body, right? Like it's like a gazelle seeing a lion. Oh my gosh, this I'm gonna get eaten, let's run. We humans, we continuously running all day long. So the cortisol just keeps on rising and rising and rising in our bodies, which produces illness, and then we get sick. So when you exercise, you releasing that tension in your body. So then when
Right.
even you do 10-15 minutes, your body, you know what they call the runner's high, like after working out, you feel so good. You're like, oh yeah, I feel great in my body. It is because your body released that cortisol, released that tension. So when I learned that I need to exercise and go walk, even just walking 10-15 minutes, there was a research done that those, especially for women who were working out heavily 5 days a week, compared to women who were just walking for 10 minutes a day, those women who were just walking, they actually were in a better mental state than women that they were working out heavily, because it's about your mental state.
Right. Whoa, that's an amazing advice. One last question to you is, when it comes to stress, I think it's directly proportional with our sleep also. And being an entrepreneur, my sleep is absolutely disturbed. Okay, so I'm currently playing with three time zones: the Indian time zone, the USA time zone, and the European time zone. It's 11:30 in India right now, 11:30 p.m., and it's morning in your place. So I'm having a overtime. So as a professional, how do we manage our sleep? And I want to know about how much sleep we should take, and if we are facing such a problem with a lot of time zones also, so how we should take it? Should we take sleep in like chunks, or should we have a deep sleep at a same time, like having 6 to 7 hours of sleep at a one shot?
So you need to have a longer sleep for longer times, because that's how the chemicals in the body regulates over your sleep, and there are some different intervals how the it clears from your body. So the longer you sleep is the better. And here's another thing about all the entrepreneurs: we need to have boundaries. Boundaries when you tell us, not only with other people but also with yourself. When you say, I'm going to put at least 6 hours sleep, and you stick to that. Because if you not sleep, did you know that someone who doesn't have enough sleep for at least 3 nights, it's they mental concentration and focus is the same as somebody's drunk.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
was not aware about that. Mhm.
exactly. So that's mean you invest in your sleep. That's you it's like, imagine your car. Your car, you will take change oil, you change the tires and all of this. But your body is like your car. But we continuously pushing our bodies and our minds because we think, I'm just going to do this right now and then later I'll do something. But it doesn't work that way. It accumulates. So
Right.
now when you tell yourself, I need to take that 6 hours break, it's like, well, but I don't have the time for this. And then you need to ask yourself, what's this horizon that you're pushing yourself towards? And how the boundary they can put you with yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to plan differently. I'm going to delegate things. I'm going to take breaks. But that 6 hours of sleep is going to be sacred for me. And then you need to ask yourself why you don't want to give this to yourself. And then you can go deeper of understanding that it's about the mental state why you cannot do that.
That's amazing. That's an amazing advice, Lolita. So, if anyone wants to connect with you and anyone wants to have any kind of advice which is related to stress management, so can you just please tell about how they can connect with you?
So my website is beamazingyou.com. That's where you can go and get stress management session with me. But also I am on LinkedIn. Just look for my name, Lolita Guarin. I am also on, and I have a whole YouTube channel called Be Amazing You, the same name as my website, where I have also podcasts. I have interview people, but also I give short videos and longer videos about stress management in particularly.
Perfect, Lolita. Thank you so much for being there in our podcast. It's really nice that you invested time and you shared an absolutely important insight, which is very important, especially for the entrepreneurs and the young generation who are looking towards growth. And that's very important that no one is talking about, especially in India. So, thank you so much for investing your time.
Thank you for inviting.
Have a great day.
Thank you.